My terminal was removed, Arvind.
So it's a version problem, right?
Yes. So basically, my terminal was removed completely from my Ubuntu, and I'm not able to log into Ubuntu as well. I mean, I'm able to, but I'm getting a black screen.
Mm.
Uh, can I just show you once?
Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
So it's showing this one, Arvind.
This is terminal is showing only. Mm. You are
Yeah.
not able to go to your desktop.
No, I'm not able to. I mean, see my desktop. See if I start my mission here, it's opening screen.
So Python will not impact when your desktop is gone.
Yeah, but it started uh,
Mhm.
like failing to open the Ubuntu mission for me, and then I tried to solve it using the Chandrakant's laptop. It same happened to him as well. So
Okay, this one is coming, right? This is your corrupted block, right? Okay.
so yeah,
Mhm.
it's asking me to log in here in the like
Mhm.
command line of blacks like this. So when I
Good.
try to log in here, it's just showing the last login. That's it.
Did you check on Google, right? This one, like in the this is terminal based login is showing only, right?
Yes, Arvind. I tried to, I mean, follow a few of the things which is
So
in.
you installed 3.8, then after this issue came, right? When you're more than 3.8, you
Yes.
installed Ubuntu.
So basically, to make sure whether there is three, I mean, it is taking 3.10 or 3.8. It is taking 3.10. So I uninstalled 3.10 then, and I tried to give the command airflow space standalone. So the whole terminal got closed, and I tried to restart my VM. So from then, it is showing the black screen.
It is not showing any error. It is just giving you
Yes,
terminal.
yes,
terminal name. Because if you see your all, you make it ls here and you will get all directories, everything. You can check here. Like you are getting a terminal way, right? But if
yes,
I say are all your same folders, right? Only
yes.
thing is you are not getting a UI access, right? Your UI access is gone. So
Yeah,
very
exactly.
okay, but your all folder files, everything is there.
Yeah.
Okay, like,
So
yeah.
what did you press?
Mm.
Okay, list right. Okay, okay.
So it is just only your UI access is gone, right?
Yeah,
Okay, let me check. I haven't seen this issue, right? Like
sure.
the Python version, like what the issue. Mhm. So airflow, but other people installed 3.10 version only. The airflow is working fine, right? 3.8 also, yeah. But you installed previously 3.11, right?
Yes, 3.10, I guess.
10,
Yeah,
okay. And your airflow didn't work on the
yeah.
3.10.
So I have posted one error, right, Arvind, to you in the morning.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's the error I'm getting yeah, while starting the airflow.
Mm. Okay. Okay, let me check like how we can get the UI interface.
Sure,
Okay,
sure,
because
Arvind.
the UI interface access point. Okay, I
Sure,
think
Arvind.
well, this kind of issue will be there. So you can use the command. So your command line is coming, right? So you have to fix something like skill manager from the show me. Downloaded your Python on Ubuntu, you maybe notice that the UI is not functioning properly, especially the login screen may be correct, or you may not be able to log in or access your desktop. This is because downgrade your cause some dependency break. So this thing you check, okay?
Yeah.
I'm giving this. So you can run the any command on the terminal you are getting. So just
Yeah.
try it out in the
Okay, sure.
person sort of
Sure, Arvind, I'll try with that link.
okay. So last time we have seen the EC2 instance, right? In the AWS console, right? What I covered, right? And the frequent separate, right? Like in the I started like AWS I started, right? What I covered in the last sessions in the AWS EC2. So EC2 instance creation and I covered how to connect the EC2 instance, right? That I covered, right?
Yes.
Yeah, actually I wanted to tell lambda, right? Okay. So next service S3. S3 also I told about right, how to use S3. Okay. Okay, S3 is a simple storage service, so we can upload the files in the S3 bucket. Okay. So I think S3 I already created. Okay. I told. So now I'm going to tell about lambda. Okay. So let's see lambda. Is a serverless computing. Okay. So it's a part of the compute service. Okay, like same like your EC2. EC2, if you check here the services, right, all the services list. So EC2 comes here in the compute. Okay, in the compute EC2 comes. Same lambda comes also in the compute. Okay. So here there's lambda. Lambda is a serverless computing service. Okay. So if we go through lambda is a serverless. Okay. So we can write a lambda function in different languages. Okay. So basically why it is called serverless? Because we don't need any EC2 machine for that. We don't need any server or we don't need any machine, right? For the Python environment to install. We don't need to install our Python environment or Java environment or C sharp. Okay. Any programming language environment we don't need. Okay. So that is the reason it is called serverless. Okay. And when I talk about the what is the lambda uses, right? So it is first of all, it's a as you pay go model. How much you use it, right? You will be do the execution. So how much time executing your lambda, that much you have to pay. Okay. So billing is based on the uses. Okay. Multi-language support is there. Like you can not only the lambda you can create in the Node.js, Python, Java. So any different language environment you can use. Okay. But you don't need to install this environment your own, right? It will be provided by the AWS cloud. And the other integration features are the big advantage of the Lambda, right? You can integrate a lot of services like with the Lambda. Okay, so if you see Lambda can be integrated with API gateway, Lambda can be integrated with DynamoDB, NoSQL database. API gateway is a REST services integration. SNS is a notification service. Kinesis is a streaming service, right? Okay, so there are the various integrations are there. So that is the advantage of using the Lambda. We'll see the Lambda using the Python because there are many other implementations are there. But when we are learning in the data engineering environment, so we deal with Python, okay? Because there we can write Node.js also, Java also, but we will create a Lambda in the Python. We will use the Python as a coding. okay, programming API, right? Programming, okay, so we will use it. Okay. So first of all, when we go to lambda, so how to reach to the lambda? We will search lambda and then we will open the lambda. So once we come to the dashboard, this is the lambda dashboard. Okay. So here there is an option, the create function. So when you click on this create function, so here is the options, like you want to create a lambda. Either you are going to create a lambda from the scratch, or you are using any blueprint, like some prototypes you are using. So there are many different prototypes are there. Like if you want to get the S3 object, if you want to call HTTP lambda, right? Lambda HTTP integration, or you are going to write some hello world function. So there are many different types of prototypes are there. These are the right blueprint, already predefined blueprint. So you can directly use these blueprint. So you don't need to write that lambda code. And they are telling the which programming they are implemented, these blueprints. So some of them are the Python 3.10, I think, and Node.js. So you, whatever you want to select, you can select. Okay, you can select. And the third one is a container image. Container image is like I want to, I have some image stored in my Amazon ECR, so Elastic Container Registry. So this container registry is a storage in AWS where my image is stored. So this image is related to container, right? Docker Kubernetes container. Okay. So we are not going right now this. Okay. We are starting first from the author from scratch. So author from scratch is I'm going to create my own custom function, my own function with my own implementation. Okay. So that is basically author from scratch. So I'm giving us some lambda name. Okay. My lambda function, any name you can keep it. This is runtime environment. So you decide which runtime environment you want to use for the lambda function. So I'm using Python 3.10 is fine. Okay. So Python 3.10 version I'm using. And here is another thing comes here, the execution role. So execution role is when you are going to execute this lambda. So one basic role will be created when you are creating lambda. But if you have already pre-existing role, so just select this role, and in the drop down you will find how many roles are available. Okay, the roles is basically the part of IAM service. So IAM means identity access management, and identity access management service. When you go this service here, and you can go to the roles, okay, and you can search here lambda. When you search lambda, so lambda role is there. Okay, like suppose I have a created role. So this role I have added these many permissions, policies. Okay. If I want to create my own role again, okay, so how to create a role? Create, then you will be choosing the service, for which service you want to create a role. If you select here lambda, you select lambda here, okay, the AWS service lambda. Next you go and so lambda basic execution role is coming. This role you have to add, this permission you have to add, this policy you have to add in your role. So you select this policy, okay, because this is the same policy lambda creates at the time of basic lambda permission. When you choose this option, so the role will be created automatically for this basic lambda. So every time a new role will be created. Okay. So instead of that, you choose your own role. Okay. So you should choose your own role and give this lambda basic execution role permission policy, and go to next. And here you give your lambda role name. So I'm giving my lambda role name is lambda basic role. So any role name you can define. Okay. Then create role. And once your role is created, and basic role one. So in this role one, so this permission is needed, first of all. But apart from that, you have to add more permission, right? Suppose you are reading the data from S3 bucket. So additionally, you have to add more different permission. Suppose you are going to read the data from DynamoDB, or you are reading the data from the API gateway. So how many services? Whatever services you are going to use it, you have to add that service full access. So when you are adding the service full access in this particular role, so this become a common role for every type of service access. Okay. So you can keep populating this role later on. Okay. Right now, I will be showing you the example how to read the file from the S3. Okay. So I will be using this role. Okay. So now this role, I will select in the existing role. Okay. So if it is not coming, just refresh this one. If you refresh here and search again, you will find lambda basic role one. Okay. So my lambda basic role is coming here. Okay. So you will find your role will be populated in this dropdown because that role is having the basic lambda basic execution permission. Okay. So if you have added your lambda basic role execution permission in your role, okay, so it will be coming here. Later on, you can add as many as permissions you can add. Okay. So I created a function. So my function is when the function is creating. So this is a function dashboard. So here are the options are coming. Like here is coming. If you want to trigger this lambda, like one way is a manual trigger. Manual trigger is a like you can create some test event, right? You can create an event, JSON event, and that will trigger your lambda function. Okay, manually you want to test your lambda. But if you say you want to trigger your lambda from different source, right? These are the source. These can trigger your lambda. Like S3 is the one trigger, SNS is the one trigger, SQS is the one trigger, even CloudWatch log is the one trigger. So there are many triggers are there. Okay. And DynamoDB, Kinesis, MSK is a Kafka. So that can trigger your lambda. API gateway can trigger the lambda. Okay. So I will show you some of the triggers I will show you. Okay. So this will be a source of the trigger to your lambda. Okay. And lambda can send on, and we can add the destinations also. Destination means like suppose I want to trigger my lambda and it can send the message like some particular topic, SNS topic, SQS queue. So these can call, and lambda can call another lambda. So there will be some destinations can be defined. So these are the 4 destinations, like what type of call it is. It is a synchronous call or asynchronous call. Condition is a failure or success. Suppose you say on failure, you want to send some SNS topic message. So SNS topic, I will show you. We can create a simple notification service, like we can create some email message, right? I want to send email message if my lambda got failed. If my lambda got success, I want to send some email message. Or I can send the message to the queue, right? Okay. Or I can call another lambda function. So one lambda function, success or failure, I can trigger another lambda function or event based. That is some rules we can define. Okay. So these are the things we can define for the destination. Okay. First, we will see the source, then we will see the destination. Okay. So I will show you how to write a lambda code. Okay. Basically, we have a code editor window will come here, and we can write our lambda Python code, and then we will execute the code. So for lambda code, like we use Python APIs we will use. Okay. So something like this kind of code we have to write. So we will use the Boto 3. So Python Boto 3 APIs we will use. Suppose I want to integrate Lambda with SMS. Okay, like suppose SMS topic will be triggering your Lambda. Okay, so I will show you once this how to define different data. So here I was showing in the document here. So here we have different invocations are there, like Lambda execution and invocation. Okay, so we can trigger the Lambda function. Okay, so so this is some example, like I created a S3 bucket. Okay, and whenever the file is arrived in S3 bucket, it will trigger the Lambda. And then I will read that file, and then I will write the data to some other service, or I can write the data to the DynamoDB. There are many more integrations are there. So we have to handle like this, right? Whenever the event will come. So this is an event handler function. Okay. So this function will come like this, event lambda handler function. Okay. See in the Rumble region. Yeah, it is coming. So yeah. So if you see here, this is a sample lambda handler function key. Okay. So whenever you create any lambda function using the Python, okay, Python lambda function. So in the core editor window, you will see here the basic function is given here. So here it is returning status code 200, and this is some masses it is returning. So I want to test this lambda function. So just simply saying hello. So every time now you have to deploy the function whenever you do any single line of change. So this change, if you don't deploy and you test, you will not get the result. You will not get the changes. Okay. So you have to deploy. So deploy will be taking your changes. And if you want to test manually this lambda function, so click on the test. Okay. So you will be seeing here the status code, this 200 return is coming. So every lambda handler, when the lambda handler function is called, so the monitor tab you go, okay? So in monitor tab, the CloudWatch log, you go to CloudWatch log. So there is a one group is created for your lambda function. So in the CloudWatch is a monitoring service. It's a monitoring service for the all the services in AWS. So in the CloudWatch, the log is separated by the group. Okay, it will create a one separate group for your lambda function, and all the logs will be accumulated in the group. Okay, the group means it's like some folder name it will create. So AWS and the service is lambda and the lambda function. So there is a group is created. This one. Suppose you have another lambda. So AWS lambda and another lambda. If you have another service log is there. So you can check here how many log groups are there. So this is the one category. But suppose if your EMR log is there. So your log will come like this /AWS /EMR and /log will come. Okay. So if I go here in my group, so I will see the recent invocation is there. So if I click on this, so I will see whatever print statement I given, it is showing in the log. Okay, this print statement is coming in the log. So whatever code change I do, whatever code change I did here, that's this print statement. So this is coming in the log. And what is the final output is written, that I will see here the execution. Okay, so if I test it, so I will see the response is written. Okay, so my Python is returning the response. The status code is 200 because here I'm returning the status code 200. Okay, but sometimes if your functionality, if you're writing some functionality here and that functionality is getting some error, so that status code will return. Okay, so at the end of the function, you are saying, okay, final status code is 200, right? Because everything you run successfully in your function. But suppose your function is giving some error in the middle of the statement before return, then it will return the error, okay, whatever error code is there. So now we start writing any one lambda handler so that we can check how the triggers will call. Okay, first okay, check the okay, let's see that how the buckets can be called and how can we read the data from the files in the S3. So I have a some file. I'm assuming it's like this is my file and this is my bucket and this is okay, this is my transaction.json. So let's verify this file is there. Okay. This is not through trigger. This is manual, right? I'm telling here what is my bucket and key means here file. So which particular file I want to read in which particular bucket. So I'm going to read by s3.get object. And what is this S3? S3 is a Boto client object. So for any service you want to access in your Lambda, you have to get either client or resource. So sometimes you will see you will be using resource. So Boto3.client. So some of the services you can use as a client, but some of the services you get as a resource. So you can come to know, okay, DynamoDB is a resource type of service, like where you are writing something, okay, data or reading data. So this is database. This is the NoSQL database. And S3 is your file system. So you are getting a client object and then you are performing some operations, right? You are getting a get object, put object. Okay, if you want to write any file into S3, you will use put underscore object. If you want to read any file, you are using a get underscore object. Okay, so if this code, so here basically we are using a Boto3 API. It's a Python APIs, Python Boto3 APIs. So Boto3 APIs is providing a access of any other services in Lambda. Okay, so if I want to access as a client S3, I'm getting it, and from S3 client object, I'm getting the get object by providing the bucket and file. Then I'm going to read this entire content of the file I'm reading, and then I'm just printing the record. I'm printing the record, right? So there the field is their transaction type and amount. I'm printing this values. Okay. So here is the I'm just replacing this entire, okay. And I need to deploy it before testing it. Okay. And I check in S3, this particular bucket has this file. Otherwise, it will give the error file not found. Okay. I go to S3. Yeah, so what is my bucket name is this? So this is my bucket. One. This is the file, transaction.json file. The lambda, which lambda I created, be able to access or not. Let's see. First it is access and okay. So here I have deployed it and I click on the test. So I'm able to see here. This is my values are coming. Okay. So transaction type. So these are the two records are there. Okay. If I check my S3 file, I download this. So this is my file, transaction with this. So how many record you can see? These many records are there. So I change some data and we upload this file. We can I create a new. So bucket name should be unique because otherwise you cannot create across the globe. Okay, so it should be a unique name. If your bucket is not unique, so it will give you the error. If it is unique name, then it will do. So this is the bucket I created. Right? So this bucket, I will close the file. My updated file. Spark, I will upload my file. Where I will upload, add file, transaction. So I need this bucket name. Okay, because in this bucket I have done. So I will change in my lambda. I will go to my lambda function code, change the bucket. My file name is same, transaction.json. I deploy it. Okay, now I click on test. So can you see purchase one and refund one is coming? So it is reading the data. So you need to understand this code, right? Once we get the JSON data, okay? Because in the file, I have JSON data. This is the JSON data. So I'm loading this data, okay? So I'm reading this data. So this is a manual trigger, okay? But now I want to do like rather than this manual trigger, I want to get this event automatically. I want to check my file automatically, okay? So add trigger and I say S3 and I will select S3 and which bucket you want to do. So suppose I'm saying this particular bucket, in this bucket, I want to do some custom event. So there is an option like custom event. So I will select my bucket. Okay, so this is the bucket is showing. Okay, and I'm telling here all the event type, like put event, get event, any type of event, all object create stream event. So here in the drop down, I'm selecting all. So it will include all the type of event. So all object create event. And prefix is if you want to create any folder in your S3 bucket, you can keep it folder. Okay, so I say my data folder, and that my data folder I say I want to upload some text file. So .txt file. Okay, don't use star .txt, only .txt. So suffix and prefix. The prefix represent here the folder. Okay. If you don't use prefix and suffix, so all files it will use. It will be applied for all type of file. But suppose I want to do filter, I want to apply some filter in this particular folder and this particular type of file. I want to use as a custom event. Whenever the text file is like uploaded in my bucket, in my particular folder, so my lambda should trigger automatically. Okay. So I will go my S3 bucket. Here I will create a my data folder because I'm giving a my data folder. So my data folder I will create. And this my data folder, I will upload the text file for checking it. Okay. So now first what I'm going to do here, I have defined my bucket. I define my prefix, like I told here, this is my folder. And what type of file? .txt extension. When I click on the add here, one trigger is added. So here you will see one trigger is added. And this trigger detail you want to check, click on the detail here. So you can check your detail like one S3 event object type trigger is created. Okay. And what type of file it is triggering this event? Only text file. Okay. If any other type of file is coming in the bucket folder, data folder, it will not trigger the event. Only it will trigger when your this text file. So now I want to verify whether my trigger is event is triggered. So I will print this event in event. Okay. Because the data which will be coming automatically, it will be coming in the event like bucket name, key, right? So it will come in this event, and from this event I will find my bucket and key, my file, and then I can access. Okay. So I will not be writing this manual code, this particular bucket one code, like this manual thing I'm doing. I will pass my whatever bucket and key will come, I will directly pass dynamically. Okay. Okay, so first we'll see that what information is coming in this event. Okay. Deploy it. Okay. And I will upload some file there. And .txt extension file. The text document with a .txt. And where I have to check the log, once this file is uploaded, now I uploaded file. Now, how I can check my lambda is triggered or not? So I have to go to monitor and have to go to the CloudWatch. CloudWatch log. You can write a separate lambda function for this. Okay, so recent one log is 2040, just 1 minute ago. Okay. And written completely. So that is the reason it is not able to find what is event, right? Because my variable name is an event. So now we have to do it again. So we deployed it. So our changes is recorded. Now I will upload. I will delete this file and upload the file. Or we can override also. Same file we can override on the existing file. So if we are maintaining the versioning, then it will create a new version. Otherwise, it can. We take it this way. This is a text file. Now we go to lambda. Go to monitor. CloudWatch log. Okay, so 2016. And now you can see this output is coming earlier, right? Whatever lambda is running. Okay, so this one is not related to. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, I'm getting an event object, right? I printed this event. Can you see in this event? Um, yeah, so this file you loaded, right? Interview preparation point.txt, right? So this my data is yours. Yeah, your prefix folder is coming, your bucket name is coming, right? So all those things are coming, right? Bucket name is coming here. This is the bucket name. Actually, it is a part of ARN. So ARN is a Amazon resource name. So every resource is having a unique ARN. And this ARN is formed by ARN colon AWS colon what service is there and what is the object in that service. Okay. But actual bucket name is this. So if I do event of bucket and then I want to find a name, I can get it. So how to get it? This event of bucket. Okay. So I go to my lambda. I want to print the actual bucket name. So event of in the square bracket, event of bucket. And then next is a like name. This one. Bucket and bucket has the name and name is this one. And for key, we have object and object having the key. Okay. So bucket, bucket has name. So this should print the bucket name. And if I want to print the key, that is my file name. Okay. Want to see clearly this message. So what you can do, you can copy this JSON message or some JSON online editor is there. So you can paste there. The bucket is a separate ID and there is a key the object is a separate. Okay. Bucket. Bucket and so if I want to find which bucket, so bucket and name is there and object is having a key. So now I want to verify. So I will just deploy. So I don't need to test. This is giving me some. I upload same file again. Go to document. Go to check in monitor. Yeah, go. But the first is the props is the props. I mean, that's the important thing. Like this, we have to do actually. Event dot right. You have getting so cost of 0 S3 dot bucket dot p. This is the not this is JavaScript code similar to the I think so this is the JavaScript code. But you have to retrieve the complete. event or records or zero this bucket. This directly you can use this. If you just want to check if this complete full, this lambda you can use. So it is basically dynamically taking a bucket, then key. Key is your file, right? S3 object key, right? So records, then S3 object key, and then you are trying to pass this and getting a content type. This is completely. So any function you can call S3 get object. Suppose you want to write put object, so you can write put object, right? You can write the file. Can you see the content type is coming text plain because I'm reading a text file, right? I didn't print the bucket name. We can print the bucket name and the file name. Okay, I didn't print these two things. I can print, but I'm printing the content type. So it means my code is working, and this is the code, right? You have triggered from the S3, right? You triggered. So is it clear this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are many more things are there. Okay, just a small example I do so that because I want to tell API gateway what to cover tomorrow. I will give this file. I think I've uploaded already. Okay, you can practice. This one is already there. Okay. So one, you try this example where you are reading data from the S3 by using the manual test event, or you are trying to do with the S3 trigger. Okay. Event, custom event. Another thing is like we can trigger any, we can start and stop any EC2 instance. Okay, EC2 instance also we can access by using go-to3.client. So here you need a region name, which region and which instance you want to, like multiple instances there, like you have a 5-6 instances and you want to start and stop those instances. So you can use this, you can define in a list in a single code. So your instance ID, this ID you can find it while you go to the EC2 instance, right? You go to EC2, there you can find your list of EC2 instances. Okay. So as many as instance you want to start and stop. So that thing you can do also with Lambda. Yeah. So just take it your instance ID, and this instance ID, if any instance, you know, right, there is an instance ID is there. Every instance is associated with the instance ID, and that instance ID you pass it in your this code, then it will start and stop. It's very simple. Just you have to provide your reason and you have to provide your instance ID. Whatever instance ID you want to start and stop, you can use start instances that will start the instance. If you want to stop the instances, so you can stop the instances, right? Like you can write a two lambda handler function. One lambda handler function is basically starting and one is stopping. Okay. So this function you can try, okay, this code you can try. And one more is the DynamoDB table you can write. So you are reading the file from the S3 bucket, like some CSV file, and you are reading the data, the employees data. So this file is having this data, the sample file data is there, employee.csv. So this employee.csv file has 3 columns, and you have to create a DynamoDB, the table. So you have to create a table in the DynamoDB. So I'm creating a resource as here. This is EMP1. Okay, and this EMP1 table I created manually in the DynamoDB. So it's very simple to create a DynamoDB table. You go to the DynamoDB service. Okay, so what you want to do, you want to read the data from S3 file and write the data to the DynamoDB table. So you go to the DynamoDB and there is the option create table. Just give the table name. So EMP1 is already there. So I'm creating EMP2 and one partition key or primary key, both are same. So you can give your employee ID is your partition key. So just give this key here and create table. Rest of the column will be dynamically added because it's having a dynamic schema. So you don't need to just you create the table like this. Okay. So once your table is created, okay, and now if you run that lambda code, you will see your data will be populated. So I show you my other table. So once you create a table, just create a table and add a primary key, partition key, and create table. After that, you just run your this code. So copy paste this code and run this. But before that, you upload a bucket. Just you change your bucket, and this is the same file. So you will see your file will be read from the S3 and write the data into DynamoDB table. So if you want to like you want to check your data in DynamoDB table, so you have to go to the DynamoDB table. So you go to the tables and click on the table, and here you do the explore table item. So here you run the query. Right now there is no data. I'm not able to see any record. But once your data is added in the table, right? So you will see the record here. Okay. Try this one, and I will share this code again of this code. You try this one. Okay, let's connect tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Arvind.